Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to the optional viewing weekly personal vlog entry of me for the Daily Prompt series. This is where each week I basically go through and talk about the experience of putting this vlog together, or of trying to do this, trying to do all this adventure the way that I had initially intended, how it's changing, what I'm learning, what I'm discovering, how it's adapting. This is optional viewing. If I know there's a ton of content on this series. If you're busy and you're binging and you're trying to catch up, you can be forgiven for skipping these. Although some people like to watch these and skip the others. It's up to you. These are a little bit different in that I just like to sort of dial it back a little bit and just tell you sort of where I'm at and how this thing is progressing along. This is week number 9, so we're already well over 2 months now doing this, and things are starting to change a little bit. I've gone through some ups and downs along the way. I think where I'm at this week is the workload of it is. I'm a little bit worried at the moment that the workload of the vlog and of all the social media stuff is kind of getting in the way of maybe the more urgent things. I'm not sure if I've talked about this before, by the way. I don't watch this. I don't have time to watch what I've done up to this point. So if I'm repeating myself, I do apologize. Very short-term memory for these kinds of things. But I'm a little concerned that the time involved is going to get in the way of what I'm actually setting out to achieve. And this is probably the first week where it's really become sharply focused, where it's like I had a whole, like last week, it was all about trying to get on top of everything, trying to increase the workflow a little bit, and get it to the point where where we're actually getting everything done. And then not everything got done, and then other emergencies popped up, and then the delay of this and the delay of that, or we're trying to work with somebody remotely and then having a conflict with somebody else, and it just the part of me is wanting to basically take the daily vlog and just sort of go pause, put it all on pause, not sort of continue doing it, and instead reclaim that time, because now I feel like I'm a little bit clearer on what I have to do to get where we're trying to go. Firstly, to try to get this first film project up and running. It has suffered. It has delayed and pushed back, which unfortunately just pushes everything back, right? The sooner we can get into production and actually make that film and actually, create something interesting to watch that is marketable, that people are going to like, I think, and want to see, the sooner we can do that, I think the faster all the rest of it happens. It's the same reason that I'm looking for volunteers. It's the same reason I'm looking for, people to join me, so that we have the resources to maybe pay people, since we don't have volunteers. It's all about I see exactly what we have to do. I know exactly where we have to go. I know exactly how to get there. I know that we have the ability. Everything's in place to do it. Just we need sort of the people to jump in. And so in the absence of that, the vlog kind of gets in the way a little bit, to be honest. So what I've started doing is batching them. So rather than doing them once a day, I'm trying to do multiples in a day. So what I'd really like to do, ideally, is get the entire week done in one day, so that I can, roll them out. The thing I don't like about that is that then that sort of puts me that much more detached from the community. And I like to be able to read a comment or see something that's been discussed or addressed within the YouTube comments section, and then to be able to the next day address it. If I'm doing it, daily, that's doable. If I'm batching it, well then, I'm getting a bunch of episodes into the can, but I'm not, the response to those, obviously it's going to be a week later before he can even address some of that stuff. And at that point, there's other episodes since then. And so it's you sort of move on in a new direction that's maybe away from what the audience is interested in, or what you guys have, what your feedback or your comments are. I can adjust over time, and I do, and I will, to whatever you want or what you'd like, which direction you'd like to see all this go. But I can't do it in real time, which early on anyway was part of the fun of what this is all about. The problem is just the time it takes to do an episode and to get it ready and to process it and whatever. Like if I'm doing that every day, first of all, in order to have some sort of semblance of a weekend with the family, I've got to sort of do the Saturday, Sunday, Monday episodes all at the same time. So there's already some batching that would happen on Friday. And then, once you sort of see that you get those days, well, then you go, well, if I did the same thing during the week, then I would get days during the week to focus on, whatever it might be, whether it's, expanding the sort of Facebook advertising, or whether it's developing the project, or whether it's working with the writers in the writer's room, or whether it's, getting out and meeting actors or cinematography people or editors. There's just this laundry list of things that need to be done that just, the vlog in some ways gets in the way of. So it's an odd place to be, where it's like, I committed to doing this thing for at least 6 months and, probably 5 years. I can't now give up after 2 months, and I have no interest in giving up. It's just how to balance it, because really ultimately there's a set of priorities here. The priority is building the film studio. The priority is creating the film that will move us into, the next film, and then the film studio. Because I'm as time is going on, my previous ideas are just getting reinforced that none of this is ever going to get any real traction until we're actually, producing films on a regular basis. And so, that has to be the priority. And the challenge is how can I continue to build the audience, which is needed in order to support that, if we put it on pause to build that. It's it just goes back to the same old thing of just needing people, needing help, needing resources to build that. So, maybe the original thesis that anyone can do this is a dubious one. Maybe it's not true. Maybe even creating something at a low budget indie level requires a base level of resources to build the audience, if nothing else. I don't think that's true, and so we're going to sort of persist and see how it adapts and see how it grows along the way. But it's just interesting to go down that road and go, well, but if I can't do this, then the thing that I'm saying isn't 100% accurate either. So what would I need to modify? The thing is, there are scaled back ways to do all this that I maintain would still be doable. If I was only trying to make one film and make one film for a specific audience and make one sort of low budget film for that specific audience, I think that, and if you're just trying to do that on evenings and weekends or something, I think even that would be more. I think that would be more doable than what I'm trying to set out to achieve, because at the same time, I've got this system that I have to help and guide and respect the writers who are going through the system. Obviously, they're, probably number one priority overall, because they become the future writers of the writer's room. And it's important to nurture people through that, but also to build and sustain interest in the writers who are watching this. Like, I feel like I'm trying to do this big thing. My thesis is you can do this little thing, right? If I just did that little thing, we'd maybe get there faster. but at the same time, I'm trying to do it as part of this big thing. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. It's the challenge of what it is. So, I have found some time issues. One of the reasons the episode a couple episodes ago was all about time is because we ran into, I've run into more and more as I've been dealing with people reaching out to help or reaching out to express interest in what I'm doing. I find that a lot of people are super interested and super excited about what I'm building. But then when they reach out to help, or when they want to take it that next step, it's almost like this enthusiasm for, I'm going to jump in and we're going to get this done right now. And it's like I'm very aware that this is a long game. I'm very aware that this is something that's going to take years. This isn't something that we're going to get done by next month, or 3 months from now, or 6 months from now, maybe even a year from now. I'm very aware of the time frame, and I think when people often maybe reach out to help and they're enthusiastic about that, they can be unaware that their enthusiasm requires time from me as well. And so I like having to. It's a hard thing to ask for help, and then to get enthusiastic help that makes your life harder. It's a challenging thing that I have had to try to navigate it in the past, but it's because of the nature of what I'm trying to build here. It's more pointed, and so I'm struggling a little bit to navigate that, because I do need help, and I do value absolutely everyone that reaches out, to offer help, whatever it may be. Just if the offer is not sort of quite in line with what I need and the timing of how I need it, then it can be yet another challenge. And it makes you feel really rather guilty then for saying as much, because that person has reached out to help, to volunteer. And so I'm a little afraid that I'm maybe putting people on the back foot a little bit, or making people feel, rubbing people the wrong way, or making them feel a little like I'm grumpy or don't know what I want, or just anyway, all this sort of thing. So I had a sort of situation where I had to close off something like that, and it was it's problematic for me, because the more I have to focus on the managing of the resources, the less time I have to put into actually building the thing. And it may not seem like a big deal, or if you're only watching me on this daily prompt show, and maybe seeing the occasional post on social media or something, you're maybe not aware of just how packed the days are, and just how little time there is to do even some of the basic functionality of the building of it. And so it may look like, geez, this is taking forever. What's this guy's problem? I always worry that perception, colors how you take in the rest of it. I've always felt that way over all the years that I've done this, that the perception of what I'm doing, based upon the sort of limited context that you have, changes how you absorb what my message and what I'm saying. And so a lot of it can be, he's just, he's just talking, or I've realized along the way that absolutely no one on the planet can ever have full context for what I'm doing, because no one has ever lived my experience and seen all the things and interacted with all the people. And if people reach out and they make certain complaints about what I do, or, oh, you should try this, or, oh, you should try that, those people don't necessarily know that I may have tried that literally 5-10 times in the past, 10 years ago, way before it was even the thing to suggest. I mean, I've been a little bit ahead of the curve on this whole thing for quite a long time, which is problematic. It's not. I don't say that, to pat myself on the back. I say that as that's frustrating. I was talking to somebody this past week about how, I had in 1998. 8 or 9, no, it would have been 1998. I had this idea for a TV series that would be distributed online. That would basically be a streaming TV series, a sci-fi project. But literally the bandwidth at the time was too slow to be able to effectively put video online. So I had thought to maybe distribute it via DVD, via a subscription-based DVD show. And I figured out the costs of manufacturing the DVDs. I figured out the mailing costs. I figured out international shipping costs. I figured all that stuff out, and really just couldn't make it work, and did not have the resources to be able to do it. It was just an idea that was 7 years before YouTube even was invented, before streaming video ever became sort of a thing, and so it's that's kind of yay, good for me that I have these ideas before the other people have these ideas. But if you can't implement those ideas, then you're stuck, and it's this sort of struggle. And by the time, you end up having to find other things to do. You have to find other, well, I'm not gonna be able to do this, so let's focus our attention over here. And then meanwhile, the system is getting set up to where that would be feasible, but now you're already stuck into this thing over here, and so you sort of see the opportunity pass by once it's actually viable. It's a weird place to be. So I worry a little bit that I'm in a similar scenario today. I've been in that exact situation probably 5 or 6 times over the years, having these great ideas that just are not. You can't quite implement them yet with what you have yet. Sort of like the grand master plan of all this. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So it's I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's kind of what's been going on this week. So my, I guess, feeling at this point is I'm trying to think about how to manage this. What I will probably continue to do just out of necessity is try to spend a day each week doing all the episodes for the week. As much as I dislike the fact that it if I'm still reading and commenting and trying to engage with the community on YouTube as the videos come out, and even people post comments on previous episodes and whatever as they discover them, trying to really build that community, engage with people, because I want this to be a sort of safe place that writers can come and ask questions and really learn about the stuff, really learn how to do this stuff. I'm hoping that by continuing to do that through the comments and continuing to engage on that level, that the bond still is there, and that connection is still there. I don't like the idea of this daily prompt being a sort of me at you communique, right? Where it's hey, here's what I'm thinking today, blah, go work, At the end of the day, I want it to be more of a dialogue, like, hey, here, you can do this. What do you need? Tell me what you need. And then to implement that, it's really hard to do that when you batch them. But I think if I don't batch them, there's no Instagram content will ever get made. I won't be able to develop the project. We won't be able to get the thing going. So it's probably either going to be put the thing on pause, or maybe we have to reduce the number of episodes done each week. I don't know. You tell me in the comments if how you feel about that. Because also it's how much time it takes on your end. So I want to make sure that this is a two-way thing on that level, but I don't really want to put it on pause, but if in the grand scheme of things, to prioritize, to actually build the thing that we set out to build, not quite living up to my daily prompt promise, may have to be. So ultimately, and this is the frustration, I think, ultimately, if there were volunteers, if there were people, joining fast that would enable me to hire people, whatever, right? However we get there, if there were people who were helping with all this and sort of like could spread the workload out and trust that it was getting spread out and it would get spread out in, all in line with what the big picture objectives are, it would enable me to continue doing it without having to worry about pausing it, because I just would do it, blast it out. Other people would go off and run and do it, and then I would be able to sort of focus on the things that need attention. If there is no that, then I don't know. I don't yet know what the solution is, but that's kind of what I'm grappling with this week. So I welcome any comments, feedback, suggestions, and as always, if you guys can share this, if you can spread the word, if you can, tell people that even if they're not, even if they don't immediately have a interest in this kind of stuff, maybe they know someone who has an interest in this, and just fan it out. I think if the numbers were growing each week, I think if we were at this point 2 months in, up to 500 views for each video or 1,000 views for each video, I would feel a lot more like, well, we still don't have the resources, but we're growing. I would feel like it's expanding and maybe getting us closer to where we're trying to be. At this point, I feel like there's a core group, and I love you guys, and I appreciate and respect. Thank you so much for watching and caring and being a part of all this. A core group, it isn't necessarily going to be enough for the volume of resources that are needed. So, it needs to expand, it needs to grow, it needs to spread, and I've never been good at that. That's one thing I've never been good at, is figuring out how to spread this message, and figure out how to, how to convince writers that fast is in their own best interest, how to convince people that I'm doing it at cost. I promise you, this is, something that it is a win-win for both of us. Just all that kind of stuff. I have never been able to figure out how to convey that. And so my thought was doing a daily prompt and really sort of putting the philosophy and the principles and the ideas and the inspiration and stuff out there. It might do it. It doesn't seem to have so far. Doesn't mean that it won't. Sometimes these things are just a slow build. Maybe it's going to take 3 months, 6 months, a year of just doing this every single day to cross that tipping point. I don't know, maybe the content itself needs to be more sharp and focused, and each episode has to be some practical takeaway. Here's how to refine the words on the page, or here's how to, improve your character, or 6 tips to this, or 3 ways to that. And, exactly the stuff that I argue is not in your best interest, but maybe that's the only way to build and grow it. So toying with that kind of stuff as well. So anyway, I welcome, again, feedback and opinions on all this and whatever you think. But anyway, we can leave it at that. That's kind of where I'm at this week. My plan for the week ahead is to batch these things a bit more. So hopefully that's not a problem, that I'm not addressing the questions or the comments immediately in the videos. I do hope to get back to that. I do hope that with a team, that with a crew, with somebody else handling this stuff, that we can get there. So yeah, we may go on a little bit of sort of bumpy detours to get to the ultimate goal, but I do think once the resources start coming in and we can actually get back onto the original target, we will. And so I don't intend to, I can't say never because I've had the thought to, but I don't intend to abandon what the original premise or promises of this were. I'm just trying to figure out how to really make it happen. Knowing that getting this film done, knowing that people are not going to buy in until we have 2-3 films in the can made. Those films are good. People like those films. I can demonstrate that they're profitable. I can prove concept to you with the resources. We can start making bigger budget projects. So I can show you how we've bootstrapped the whole thing from nothing. I think until that stuff really gets underway, I just don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's possible for it to change. I think what I've realized this week is that similarly how no one else can possibly ever have my full context, even people who've gone all the way through the system and really get it and have experienced it and all that, like I've only had a handful of people get to that point, and they still have not then, implemented and taken it to where it can go. And so therefore there's still a limit on what they see. So because it's impossible for even them to have full context, it's totally impossible for someone who hasn't even done that to have full context. And so somebody casually watching the show to have full context, it's just not possible. And so I think because of that, I'm trying to figure out how to factor that into the sort of forward planning steps or where we go from here, in such a way that doesn't offend people who are maybe the casual observer who don't yet have full context but are getting a greater context through the series, while at the same time not cannibalizing the opportunity and the plan and the vision, which I maintain, and now more than ever, and as much as always, I maintain it's 100% solid, and we will get there. So it's a bumpy road. Thank you for joining me on the bumpy road. Hopefully I'm not creating any nausea along the way. If so, take a Dramamine. They work for me on a plane. Anyway, that's this week's personal vlog entry. I appreciate you watching these. I really do. And I really do welcome any feedback. So we'll see you tomorrow for Mindset Monday. Thanks for watching. Take action. Have fun. See you then.